What's up, Lantern fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast, coming at you once again with another action figure review. This time I'm taking a look at the DC Direct 2011 convention exclusive figures of White Lantern Flash and White Lantern Batman. I'm still trying to finish my DC Direct Blackest Night set, and even though these are part of the Brightest Day series, they feature lanternized versions of two favorite characters of mine, so I wanted them as part of that collection. These are two of the toughest DC Direct figures to find, and I'm very excited to be reviewing them. The bottom front of each one of these figures has artwork of the White Lantern versions of these characters. There is the Flash, and here is Batman. The bottoms of the bubbles are clear, and that allows you to see the feet of the figures. Each one of the packages says Brightest Day, and these aren't in the best shape, so it's an easy decision to go ahead and bust these out. Batman comes from WonderCon, and the Flash comes from C2E2. And the backs of the packages are identical. On the back, we see a brief description of the story, as well as the individual characters. If you'd like to read these, go ahead and pause the video, and do so now. Each of the figures has the White Lantern core symbol molded into the plastic on the front, and I do like that. And the outsides of the bubble are molded into the Green Lantern symbol. I really appreciate the vibrant colors and the positioning of each figure within the bubble. And now it's time to bust these figures out of the packages and see what's inside. Each one of the figures comes with a clear peg base, and this features the White Lantern Corps logo, as you can see here. The paint is very crisp, and the plastic is very clean. And you can see it is somewhat difficult, but here is the stamp. It's underneath of the base, so I really appreciate the fact that it's not in a visible area. These come in their own individual plastic tray, and you just pop these out, and you can use them to balance your figures. And here we see the Flash and Batman out of the packages and ready to rumble. I am very happy to own these figures, and each one has a great deal to like about it. However, each one also has some clear deficiencies, Batman in particular. So let's get a closer look at the loose details now. Let's start with a look at the Flash. And without the base, the figure is still fairly sturdy, but you really have to have the upper body balanced. It's much less so if you don't have it posed properly. I really like these silver boots, and they have the little wings on the sides. I really appreciate the musculature on the legs. That's a very important aspect of any Flash figure. He needs to look like a runner. You can see some definition back here in the calf muscles and the hamstrings. This figure features the Y-crotch type of hips. Therefore, it is limited in terms of articulation, and I will get to that in a minute. I do like the musculature on the torso here. Very defined. I'm very pleased with how shiny this is. This is exactly how any type of lanternized character should look. You can see the White Lantern Corps symbol there, specialized to be the Flash. And this figure features some magnificent sculpting. You can see that here with the latissimus dorsi and the triceps. I don't have many complaints when it comes to the head sculpt. It does look realistic. I like the way the mask has been sculpted, and all of these wrinkles that are sculpted into the forehead, those look really good. I really like the little wings on the mask. However, this one is a little warped, so I'll need to work with that to get it to look the way that it should. But I really like how shiny and reflective this mask is. And the stare isn't vacant. There's some emotional content here, so I'm thankful for that. Now let's have a look at Batman, and this is a very striking figure. You can see all the wrinkles sculpted into the boots. The paint applications are nice and tight. There's plenty of good sculpting on the quadriceps here. And while this figure stands well on his own due to the cape, you still have this peg hole underneath the foot. And of course, the peg base just ports into that. Again, with the Y crotch here. Good wrinkles sculpted in, though, in that area. I will say that. And this cape is magnificent. Just look at how the light dances off of it. Here's a look at the underneath. Still very metallic looking, but it is a darker color. Now, this cape does hinder the shoulder movement somewhat, as you would expect. Also, I thought that the utility belt might be a separate piece. It is not. It is sculpted in place, although it is sculpted very well. Here's a look at the White Lantern Corps symbol. The paint applications are spot on, and I really appreciate this silver paint choice that you can see on the gloves and the cape and the cowl. It is very eye-catching. The head sculpt isn't quite as good as the one on the Flash. I should point out, though, I really do like the way the cape falls over the chest. It's very realistic looking. And I like the fact that the cape and the cowl all look like one piece, so I do appreciate that. I like these ears that have been sculpted into the cowl. That's another aspect of realism. You can see those there. And you can see a plethora of wrinkles that have been sculpted into this cape, and that gives this figure an element of realism. In terms of criticisms, the eyes are a little small and somewhat asymmetrical, and the jaw area lacks some detail. It looks very plastic. Before I talk about articulation, let's have a look at the rings, and I have to be objective here. These are not well done. Batman in particular. At least with Flash, you can see on the right fist here, the ring is a raised portion of the plastic. It actually looks like it's been slipped over the finger. But with Batman, it's very hard to see because it's just a white dot. I don't know if DC Direct ran out of time in 2011 and they just had to put the figure out. But I've looked at pictures online and this isn't an anomaly. This is how the figure was produced. So DC Direct certainly could have done a better job in this area. In terms of articulation, Flash has a swivel at the top of his boots. He has a single pin in each knee, and you can get him into a good running pose, I will say that. However, due to the Y crotch, you can only get him to kick forward that far. Unfortunately, he doesn't step back. The body mold is a single piece. There are no joints. There is rotation on both wrists. He has single jointed elbows. Bicep swivel on both of the arms, and I really like that. You can get the shoulders to raise up that much out to the side, and there's 360 degrees of rotation on both. This one's a little tighter than the other one. There we go, 360. But like most DC Direct figures from this time period, his legs don't articulate out to the side at all. Now let's take a look at Batman. He also has the single jointed knee, as you can see here. His boots do not rotate at all, although he can step back, so I was happy with that, as you can see. I really wish Flash would have been able to do that. Once again, there's no articulation in the torso. He does have the rotation here on the gloves, and I do like that. Single jointed elbows. Unfortunately, due to the cape, you really can't get his arms to raise up very far at all. And I really wouldn't try to do that because you might stress that cape out here. Now, Batman's head only moves side to side, and there's no further articulation. With the Flash, there is head movement from side to side. There's a modest amount of movement up and down, and there is some head tilting, so I'm very thankful for that. If you're a collector who does stop motion or you like to do dynamic posing for your displays, you may very well be disappointed with these figures. I also feel the need to say that a lot of sellers are asking ridiculous prices for these, especially for Batman, so be very careful that you don't get taken for a ride if you decide to buy these figures. But as a collector of all things Green Lantern, I am very happy to have added these to my collection. As simple display pieces, these two figures look outstanding. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like and subscribe. Also, make sure to tell all of your friends who like comics and collectibles about this channel. I would certainly appreciate it. Make sure to stay tuned for some articulation shots, and also catch me on the Emerald Echo podcast, which is part of the Multiverse Musings vidcast, and that's available right here on YouTube. And I'll be back to the internet with more comic book related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.